And welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. We want to finish up the show today by reintroducing you to one of our Artesia School Board, Artesia Public Schools Board of Education.
Yes, sir.
One of our current Board of Education members, Mr. Luis Flores. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Gene.
Yeah,
it's good to see you again.
Good to see you,
it's been
too.
a while.
Well, we've kind of bumped into each other off and on over the years in some of your prior roles.
Right.
Before getting on the school board, you, was it the Park Service that you worked for? Or
yes, National Park Service.
National Park Service.
Carlsbad Caverns, where I finished up.
Yeah,
yes,
and what else have you done over the years?
Well, so when I finished the term, my second term on the city council, and then went over to school board, see what I could contribute there if I could, and it's been very rewarding. I think we've accomplished a lot, so right now that's what I'm into.
Yeah, talk about the
Yes,
accomplishments. Sir. Now, are you from Artesia originally?
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised, and
yeah.
Went to Artesia Public School?
Yeah, went through the whole system here, and went to my college, went to New Mexico State. That's where I got my degree and stuff. But
that's pretty exciting.
Came back here and tried to stay close for family reasons. We had some issues there with my folks, and they both passed now, but we were taking care of them, so
yeah,
it worked out.
So when you were in Artesia High School, do you remember who some of your favorite instructors were at the time?
Oh, yeah. I think, excuse me, let me take a drink here.
Sure, yeah. No, that's fine, because I always think back, there's always one or two that just kind of say something or do something that just kind of sticks with you the rest of your life.
Yeah, well, there were several. I think the ones I'm not, in fact, one of them that got me into science, that was my degree in biology, but was Mrs. Stiff, and she was she made the subject of chemistry and science so, understandable, I guess, for me, because I just who would have thunk kind of thing, and so she was one of them, and then Miss Kettner was an English teacher who also made an impression on me on the written word and how it's presented and how you should present it, and that kind of stuff, and they were all just positive influences, and can't say enough for educators in general, because they have sometimes just an impossible job to play all the roles, and maybe in the discussion we'll get there in your examples, that you found, but they have to wear so many hats nowadays, and right. I think sometimes maybe we expect a little bit too much. Yeah.
Now, how long have you been on the school board?
Okay, I'm finishing up 4 years.
Okay.
This is my first term that I'm completing, and decided to run again because of the current situation with how COVID impacted us, all the safety and health requirements to that set the school systems back, just on and on, that type of stuff, the current situation in the country, and we'll probably address this later in the critical race theory thing, those kinds of things, that these last 4 years, one of the requirements for this is to take lots of training, and that's what I've done for 4 years through the school system, but it showed me how to finagle these kind of issues and go around and try to work with the people that best suited and the proper people, I should say, to resolve these issues. So yeah, so that's
well, being on the board these last 4 years, and you mentioned the challenges that the COVID pandemic brought about. These are probably things that nobody thought they would ever have to deal with being on a school board.
Yes,
and you probably every week during the height of the pandemic, there's probably some different decision or different.
It was.
Yeah,
you're exactly right, Gene. It seemed like every other day we would get a note from the superintendent on changes. Not through us necessarily. It was coming down from Santa Fe. You know, that we have to do this and we have to do that, and which was very disconcerting. You know, you try to. Well, as far as the school board, we're pretty cohesive group, and I guess work a lot through consensus, and we'd make a decision and kind of, given the best information, you know, you move forward and you try to resolve it, and then when they change that, it's like to go back to square one. So it's frustrating in that. It was frustrating, and but again, this school board was unique in that sense that everybody worked together, and the school, I can't say enough for the school staff, the administrators. They're just awesome, you know.
Yeah.
And they get it done for the community, and also keeping us abreast of what's going on.
Sure.
So yeah.
So from your perspective on the school board, all through this whole thing, was your focus or your goal, you know, we got to get the schools open, we got to get the kids back in school. What do we need to do to satisfy these requirements that are coming down so that we can get kids back in school and get athletics and extracurricular activities going?
Certainly, that was our number one concern, is trying to get these. We all realize that kids need to be back in school. I mean, I don't think there was a question. I don't have a child in school at the present time. My son is grown up and out, and works here in Artesia, and but I still have grandkids that are in the school system, not in this school system, in another school system, and but they still, you still have to address it like they were here present, you know, and all of them in school. So that's how we do our thinking, and it's always been with this school district. It's kids are the number one concern, regardless of what's going on. And as a news person, I'm not telling you anything new about what's going on in the nation and how that changes as well. And a hard, difficult period right now, okay, for everybody. So you have to deal with that. But you know, I think, for my part, it facilitates it when I think, what's the best thing you can do for the kids? Okay, when you answer that question, there's no question.
Sure.
You just move forward with that. So that's the way this school board has been operating, and I'm fortunate that we're have this group at the present time. So we've accomplished a lot that way, and we're moving forward. Have a few bumps here and there, but it's like anything. You address it, and you keep moving forward. You know, and we're it's interesting. 68 years old this year, so, and you're still learning.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You never stop learning, just about business and about folks. You know,
Sure.
so you're still. How do you reach them? How do you present it in a way that, because of you deal with all the different generations that you're going to have to,
Yeah.
you know, how you present it down here to the younger folks, how you present it to the folks like me. So.
Well, let me ask you about, as you know, and I think everybody knows, the two big issues that seem to be affecting school board elections, like what we're seeing here in Artesia, is just how far can a local school board push back, if that's the desire, against the public education department. I mean, you've been on the board 4 years. How's this thing structured, and just how far can a school board push these things? Because we saw what happened in Floyd.
Yes, sir.
The board there said, no, we're not going to do the mask mandate. They're gone. They're out of there. So just kind of share with us what your experience has been being on the board and serving under the situation that this board has been serving under.
That was an eye-opener, you know, when they removed the entire board. And, well, we studied the situation, and basically it's what it was is, through the legal framework, and we, of course, we have we have attorneys the school district has, to help us with these issues. We certainly don't wing it.
Right.
But let me get back to the initial start of your question, is because, excuse me, the school board, a lot of folks may not know that they might envision this school board as kind of the Wizard of Oz, and we control a lot of things. Really, there are a few things, okay, just not to take any heat off of me, because I'm not trying to do that. I wouldn't have jumped back in. It's, we set policy, okay, we can do that, and regulate the finances, and then we hire a superintendent. Okay, so those three things. Other than that, we really don't have authority. A lot of folks might think that, okay, and I went in the same way when I started, thinking, wow, you sit on this board and that means you control anything to do with the schools. We have a lot of influence, okay, but we don't control it. The superintendent does. But we, if we hear something, we can relay it to them and say, what are we doing on this front? But I think a lot of folks thought that you can just, let's meet and we'll decide that we're going to do this. No, we still follow the laws, national laws, federal laws, state laws, local laws. What we've done recently to help in light of what happened in the Floyd district, is we passed a resolution in August that's basically stated that we got to get back to what the original constitutional and legislative authorities were to give our district local authority.
Right, not just Artesia, but all districts across the state.
Yes, right. Return the the authority and the power back to us to make local decisions. One size does not fit all on these kinds of things, and I think that's been stated before, much more eloquently than me, but to the governor, that what they're doing doesn't fit. And but on the other hand, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are things that we can use and we employ, and we have a lot of smart folks on the administrator and legislators with, Mr. Townsend, a good friend, and who are working on to the legislative part. There's a lot of things that have to occur. I think some of the points that came out on this last discussion, when there were a number of the public that showed up at these meetings that are public meetings, school board meetings, and they stated that, what are we doing on this, and we want to do this, and we say, yes, but it's not, you're kind of preaching to the choir, we're on your side, but it takes folks from here, grassroots, to go up there, call their legislators, also call the governor, state your, and we're working from this angle, where we're empowered to do the parts that we're empowered, where we can pass resolutions that's stating this is what we want and we feel this is what we need, and all these types of things. Okay, that's how you do it within the democracy that we have here.
Sure.
Okay, our system of government. That's the way it works, and it's hard not to be able to just do it, because you're a guy in business that I'm sure at times you just take charge.
We make a decision.
You make a decision. You don't wait around for anything, because you've been, with all your experience, you got gut feeling and whatever, you rely on, but you do it. That's not us. We've got 5 folks that have to be unanimous, plus the school system has to,
Yeah.
So and we have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. Working that way, no one's left in the dark, and no one's caught by surprise. We all know what we're trying to do, and we do it. So that takes time, when you're trying to herd a bunch of people.
Well, and I think the other issue is the critical race theory concerns in the social studies curriculum. You brought with you, for those that are watching online, a great big thick, that's that is the proposed changes to the social studies curriculum for the state of New Mexico.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, what's your position or your opinion of this this proposed change that they're trying to make here?
Okay, well, because I'm not the board president, okay, mm-hmm. Mr. Irby is, and I respect that completely. Mm-hmm. So these are my opinions from this point. Okay,
sure.
I had stated kind of generally what's going to, but this is my opinion, is that mm-hmm. that I've always, coming from the Park Service, we tried to take care of places that are, historical, beautiful, and all that, and that's kind of ingrained in me that you want to take care of things and you appreciate them, okay? And that's the angle, is that I want to be positive approach to things. I really believe in diversity, okay, and I think people do. Anytime you enjoy a taco or a burrito, you're enjoying some diversity.
That's right.
Okay, or any of those things, and I don't think anybody knocks that. This is different. It's to me it's like trying to show, kind of stressing the differences, and it creates a divisiveness. I think, again, this is my opinion, because we've come so far. Growing up here, born and raised here, so I've seen the changes. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I could tell you some stories, but